may be the biggest story on Earth, but it's one of the hardest to grasp. Since the beginning, the landscape has given rise to life. Life, in turn, has defined and redefined the landscape. A perfect dance of chance and change. A myriad of species interacting, sustaining, driving one another to evolve. And no one species has altered the planet more than man. 1,000 years ago, the human race numbered 300 million. Today, we are 6 billion. Soon, we'll be 10 billion. Yet in a few startling environments, at once pristine and imperiled, the ancient dance continues. Years ago, human beings first arrived on the shores of Madagascar. A giant island unlike any place else on Earth. Home to vivid settings and unique creatures, exotic and endangered, such as the golden-crowned sifaka. Some call it the 8th continent. Many species here exist nowhere else. Scientists call places like Madagascar hotspots. Regions where life still emerges in wild bursts and unexpected patterns, treasure troves threatened by human development.
Madagascar is one of the priority biodiversity hotspots on our planet. This concept of hotspots is very interesting. It was first developed by a British ecologist, Norman Myers, back about 15 years ago now, in the late 80s. And what it does is recognize that biodiversity is not evenly distributed over the surface of the planet. Rather, it's concentrated very heavily in a limited number of areas, and many of these areas are the same ones that are most heavily impacted by human activities.
As development has spread, these critical regions have suffered. Logging, farming, and other uses have claimed as much as 95% of some hotspots' original vegetation, one of the basic building blocks of biodiversity.
Well, hotspots really are a microcosm of the debate that goes on globally about the interaction between man and the environment, and protecting of species versus providing jobs for our population and for our people.
In these areas, which serve as incubators for many forms of life, the pressure is intense to satisfy human needs, desires, and ambitions, often at the expense of the natural world, as has occurred frequently in Madagascar. Much has gone badly here. When forests die, complex ecosystems disappear, leaving a landscape scarred beyond recognition.
Take a look at this. This is just a tragic example of misuse of land.
Conservationist Russ Mittermeier has spent nearly 3 decades studying the plight of Madagascar's environment.
It's important to recognize, too, that this isn't something that's happened over the course of geological time. This is not like the Grand Canyon. When I was a kid, 50, 55 years ago, this was probably still covered in forest, perhaps as recently as 20 or 30 years ago. And in just the blink of an eye, you've wound up going from a beautiful forest system full of life to something like this, which is basically a desert. There's virtually nothing living in this area. And it's just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse until more and more of this country erodes into the ocean.
Despite devastating erosion throughout this 1,000-mile-long island, Madagascar remains one of the planet's richest biological settings, offering insights into evolution and encounters with species made rare by loss, as well as moments of unparalleled beauty. Here, old questions rise. What is our responsibility to other species? What is our stewardship of this planet? Hundreds of millions of years ago, this island was part of Southeast Africa. Then the Earth itself pulled and tugged, tearing loose a giant slab of continent. The 350-mile-wide island kept moving until 200 miles separated her from the mainland, not far geologically, but great enough for an epic adventure.
It's a truly unique area. It's the largest oceanic island, that is the largest island that hasn't had any recent connections to a continental area. It's the 4th largest island on Earth. It's a little bit bigger than the state of California, a little bit smaller than the state of Texas. And in this area, you have just an unbelievable evolutionary experiment. It's a living laboratory that's unlike any place else on Earth.
To the east stretch 800 miles of tropical rainforest. In the south, the land goes to spiny desert. Western Madagascar has dry, deciduous forest. To the north, the forest shifts dramatically between dry and moist. Lost at sea, untouched by the hand of man, a paradise grew in isolation, supporting an amazing density of life.
Madagascar got separated from the African landmass about 160 million years ago. All plants and animals that were trapped there or evolved in total isolation in Madagascar became unique to the world. And we can name among the 15,000 plants found in Madagascar, 85% of them are strictly endemic, which means that there is no other place on Earth where you're going to find these species of plants.
On Madagascar, climate, ground cover, nutrition, water, and other elements change dramatically and suddenly. So creatures change too, and they keep on changing. Scientists here to study known species often find new species. In 2003, News from northern Madagascar stunned the universe of insect science. Villagers from the remote Bobenkora forest showed researchers what may be the world's largest scorpion, Heteroscorpion magnus. Local people had long known of the poisonous insects, which can grow to be more than a foot long, but scientists had never recorded them. Now a man from the Bobenkora has brought more specimens. Once cataloged and